It is something Lionel Messi has become so obsessed with that he has over the last few months been scrutinizing the smallest details of how the Argentina team works, to the point of sending manager Jorge Sampaoli tactical suggestions as they occur to him. The 30-year-old knows well the significance of this summer, but his desire to finish it in glory goes far deeper than anything like his own legacy. It is much more innate. His great rival Cristiano Ronaldo feels the same, while a past champion like Andres Iniesta says he will face it like it is my first. Raheem Sterling and many of the England squad have meanwhile admitted to daydreaming about what it would be like to land back home with that unique trophy. These different ideas from the same fundamental feeling reflect how unique this competition is as a whole, and was perhaps best summed up by maybe its single greatest player. On the eve of the 1990 opening game, Diego Maradona roared to his Argentina teammates, "Fucking come on. This is a World Cup." A simplistic statement, but one that illustrates the simple and uncomplicated emotion the great event produces. Coach Stanislav Cherchev, star player. Fyodor Smolov, World Cup best. First round 1994, 2002, 2014, Soviet Union finished fourth in 1966, Russia qualified automatically as hosts and will be desperate to improve their poor recent record of major tournaments. They have not won a match since Euro 2012 and, since the breakup of the Soviet Union, have not progressed from the World Cup group stage. Coach Edgardo Bausa, star player. Mohamed Al-Salawi, World Cup best. Second round 1994. After qualifying for 4 consecutive tournaments between 1994 and 2006, Saudi Arabia missed out in 2010 and 2014 but are back after finishing ahead of Australia in their qualifying group. Coach Hector Cooper, star player. Mohamed Salah, World Cup best. First round 1934, 1990. Egypt will make only their third appearance at a World Cup finals and their first since 1990 after booking their place in Russia with victory over Congo. Runners-up to Cameroon in this year's African Nations Cup. Coach Oscar Tabarez, star player. Luis Suarez, World Cup best. Winners 1930, 1950. Uruguay's last World Cup campaign was overshadowed by Suarez's bite on Giorgio Chiellini and expulsion from the tournament, but they qualified impressively for Russia and possess undoubted firepower. Coach Fernando Santos, star player. Cristiano Ronaldo, World Cup best. Third place 1966. Portugal enjoyed a real battle with Switzerland for automatic qualification but came out on top. Looking to continue their unbeaten run at tournaments after winning their first major title at Euro 2016. Coach Hulan Lopetegi, star player. Isco, World Cup best. Winners 2010. The previously all-conquering Spanish suffered the ignominy of group stage exits at the 2014 World Cup and 2016 European Championship. The squad has seen evolution rather than revolution. Coach Hervé Renard, star player. Mudi Benatia, World Cup best. Second round 1986. Well-travelled coach Renard would have relished beating his former employers Ivory Coast to top spot in a tough qualifying group. The North Africans are back at the finals for the first time since 1998. Coach Carlos Queiroz star player. Sadar Azmoun World Cup best. First round 1978, 1998, 2006, 2014. This will be Iran's fourth appearance from the last 6 World Cup finals, but their only victory came against the USA in 1998. Won their final qualifying group ahead of South Korea. Coach: Didier Deschamps star player. Antoine Griezmann World Cup best. Winners 1998 knocked out in the quarter-finals in 2014. France have built a hugely impressive squad and will hope to make up for their near miss on home soil in Euro 2016, when they lost in the final to Portugal. Coach: NA star player. Aaron Moy World Cup best. Second round 2006, completing a quintet of qualifiers from the Asian groups, Australia conquered Honduras over 2 playoff legs. A pointless at Brazil 2014 and long-serving talisman Tim Cahill is on the way. Coach: Ricardo Gareca star player. Jefferson Farfan World Cup best. Quarter-finals 1970 will be appearing at their first World Cup since 1982 after they beat New Zealand 2-0 on aggregate in the playoffs. Coach: Age Haurida star player. Christian Eriksen World Cup best. Quarter-finals 1998. After missing out in 2014, Eriksen propelled Denmark back to the World Cup finals with a hat-trick in their playoff victory over the Republic of Ireland. The Danes failed to get out of their group on their last appearance in 2010. Coach: Jorge Sampaoli star player. Lionel Messi World Cup best. Winners 1978, 1986. A nervy qualification campaign saw one of world football's great powers book their place at the last opportunity with victory over Ecuador, but the losing finalists in 2014 will be looking to go one better. Coach: Jaime Hallgrimsson star player. Gylfi Sigurdsson World Cup best. Debut: the smallest nation by population ever to qualify for the World Cup finals, Iceland followed up their Euro 2016 heroics by topping a group featuring Croatia, Ukraine, and Turkey. Coach: Zlatko Dalic star player. Luka Modric World Cup best. Third place 1998. Ivan Rakitic, Luka Modric and Ivan Perisic make for one of the best creative midfields in the tournament, but they have failed to make it out of their group on their last 3 appearances since reaching the semi-finals at France '98. Coach: Salisu Yusuf star player. Victor Moses World Cup best. Second rounds 1994, 1998. 2014. A very impressive qualifying campaign booked Nigeria's place in Russia. The Super Eagles have only missed one of the last 7 tournaments, but 2014's victory over Bosnia-Herzegovina was their first since 1998. Coach: Type star player. Neymar World Cup best. Winners 1958, 1962, 1970, 1994, 2002. The 5-time champions were the first team other than hosts Russia to qualify for the tournament after a very impressive campaign. Brazil have not made a World Cup final since their last title in 2002. Coach: Vladimir Petkovic star player. Xherdan Shaqiri World Cup best. Quarter-finals 1934, 1938, 1954 qualified for their 4th straight World Cup by beating Northern Ireland in a play-off via a controversial penalty. They have made it out of their group in 2 of the previous 3, and that will be the minimum aim this time around. Coach Oscar Ramirez, star player. Keylor Navas, World Cup best. Quarterfinals 2014, finished second in CONCACAF qualifying, with the highlight being a 4-0 victory over the United States. Will be hard pushed to match their 2014 performance, when they beat Italy, Uruguay and Greece before losing to Holland on penalties. Coach Mladen Krstajic, caretaker, star player. Nemanja Matic, World Cup best. First round 2010, Yugoslavia finished 4th in 1930 and 1962. Serbia and Montenegro reached the second round in 1998, qualifying for a first major tournament since the 2010 World Cup was not enough to save manager Slavoljub Muslin from the sack. Finished top of a group featuring the Republic of Ireland and Wales. Coach Joachim Löw, star player. Toni Kroos, World Cup best. Winners 2014, West Germany were champions in 1954, 1974 and 1990, the reigning champions qualified in style, winning all 10 of their games, scoring 43 goals and conceding only 4. Their golden generation is aging but remains a force and has been enhanced by young blood. Coach Juan Carlos Osorio, star player. Javier Hernandez, World Cup best. Quarterfinals 1970, 1986. Mexico are traditionally the strongest team in the CONCACAF region and again qualified comfortably. They have reached the second round at the last 6 tournaments without once going further. Coach Jano Andersson, star player. Andreas Stromqvist, World Cup best. Runners-up 1958. They may be missing Zlatan Ibrahimovic, but Sweden qualified for their first World Cup since 2006 with a playoff win over 4-time champions Italy. They also finished above Holland in a tough qualifying group which was headed by France. Coach Shin Tae-yong, star player. Son Heung-min, World Cup best. 4th place 2002. South Korea qualified for their 9th consecutive World Cup finals despite an indifferent campaign. They have only won 2 matches since finishing 4th as co-hosts in 2002. Coach Roberto Martinez, star player. Kevin De Bruyne, World Cup best. 4th place 1986. Unbeaten in qualifying, Belgium's hugely talented squad will be hoping to build on their quarter-final appearance 4 years ago, having reached the same stage at Euro 2016. Coach Hernan Dario Gomez, star player. Gabriel Torres, World Cup best. Debut Panama have been edging closer to reaching the World Cup finals for the first time in recent tournaments and crossed the line this time thanks to a last-gasp 2-1 victory over Costa Rica in their final qualifier. Coach Nabil Mar, All-Star player. Wahid Kazi, World Cup best. Group stage 1978, 1998, 2002, 2006. After appearing at 3 consecutive finals without winning a single group game, Tunisia missed the last 2 editions. Unbeaten in qualifying, they defeated Democratic Republic of the Congo to Russia by a point, with a last-round draw against Libya proving enough for a squad comprised largely of Tunisia-based players. Coach Gareth Southgate, star player. Harry Kane, World Cup best. Winners 1966. A comfortable qualification campaign did nothing to boost optimism for England's chances in Russia. Her first major tournament in charge for Southgate, with the Three Lions having failed to reach the quarter-finals at the last two World Cups. Coach: Adam Walker. Star player: Robert Lewandowski. World Cup best. Third place 1974-1982. Poland are back at the World Cup finals for the first time since 2006 after comfortably topping their qualifying group. The last time they progressed beyond the group stages was 1986. Coach: Aliasis. Star player: Sadio Mane. World Cup best. Quarter-final 2002. The surprise package at the 2002 World Cup, they memorably beat hosts France. Senegal missed 3 editions of the tournament before securing their return by beating South Africa in a replayed group match. The original result was annulled after referee Joseph Lamptey was expelled by FIFA. Coach: Jose Pekerman. Star player: Radamel Falcao. World Cup best. Quarter-finals 2014. Colombia's star has waned a little since their brilliant showing in 2014, when they reached the last 8 and were narrowly and controversially beaten by Brazil. Finished 4th in South American qualifying. Coach: Vahid Halilhodžić. Star player: Shinji Kagawa. World Cup best. Second round 2002. 2010 will be appearing at their 6th consecutive World Cup finals after winning their qualification group. Did not win any of their 3 group games at the 2014 tournament. The evolution of football might mean the Champions League is its pinnacle in terms of performance, and there might be all manner of debate over how far the international game has fallen behind the club game, but there can be no debate about what the pinnacle of the game is in terms of feeling. This is what it's all about. Those 2 arms on the trophy stretching out to receive the world. At the stirring moment of victory, in the words of designer Silvio Gazzinaga, are so representative in more ways than one. This is what everyone in the game is ultimately reaching for: immortality. Is the World Cup still the pinnacle of the game? It is little wonder many within the game, not to mention so many supporters, describe the night before the World Cup starts as like Christmas Eve. There's still nothing like it in all of sport. It is the great festival of football, set on the vibrant stage that the host country becomes, with its extreme popularity across the expanse of the globe giving it a uniquely universal audience. To put it another way, it becomes the center of the world for a month. Just by watching we're all part of the show, in a way nothing else in the modern world can quite match. Big World Cup fixtures fill the lists of the most watched broadcasts in countries across the globe. In the United Kingdom alone, the 32.3 meters who watched the 1966 final still trumps everything else that followed, including the 32.1 meters who watched the funeral of Princess Diana. Countries are meanwhile consumed by the rare fervor, colored by flags on the street and soundtracked by car horns blaring on the roads. It is an atmosphere of togetherness that only the World Cup can bring. This is what debutantes Iceland and Panama will feel for the first time, and what Egypt, Morocco and Peru will feel for the first time in decades. Countries are consumed by the rare fervor, colored by flags on the street and soundtracked by car horns blaring on the roads. Getty, but of course ensures that winning the World Cup means so much more than just winning the World Cup. You are winning the competition that means the most to the most people in the world. But to even be involved in something so absorbing is a thrill of its own. A huge part of that universality is also the unique childlike joy it inspires, as illustrated by so many of these won-it-all modern professionals. The way it consumes a country means you can't help but grow up with and get enamored by it, those memories further firing the adult fascination and extra desire for it. When Iker Casillas was talking about the moment before he went to pick up the trophy in 2010, he admitted that the images of the past captains doing the same was in his head, before reeling them off in perfect order, going back to that special first World Cup he consumed as a youngster. From when I was small, I saw Mateus lift it, Casillas began. I saw Dunga lift it, I saw Deschamps lift it, I saw Cafu lift it, Cannavaro. So to watch me lift it, I could watch it tomorrow, I could watch it within 10 years, and it will always make me emotional because it's incomparable. Even before such heights, there's the pure enchantment brought by the wall-to-wall football of the group stages, the color of the kits and the venues, the excitement of new players and teams, and then the magic of high-stakes moments that mean sudden death or immortality. This is something else that makes the World Cup so wondrous. Iker Casillas lifts the World Cup with Spain in 2010, Getty. Just as players will still inevitably measure their careers by World Cups, so many people measure their lives by World Cups, with personal moments forever emotionally anchored to great tournament moments. The mere mention of epic events like Maradona's second, Paul Gascoigne's tears, Roberto Baggio's miss, Zinedine Zidane's headers and headbutt, Ronaldo's redemption, Iniesta's winner, and that seismic 7-1 will make so many instantly remember where they were and what was going on for them at that time. Even when the actual football in World Cups hasn't measured up to expectation, the nature of the competition means it will still throw up storylines and moments that will never be forgotten. Italia 90 was the ultimate iteration of this. It produced some of the worst football the event has ever seen, but also some of its best remembered moments and stories, as well as what has become the World Cup soundtrack, Nessun Dorma. Italia 90 was influential for far more than nostalgia, though. It may well have been the World Cup that had the most lasting effect on the game as a whole. Italia 90 changed the landscape of the game forever, Getty, taking place at a juncture period in the history of the world as much as the history of the sport. It distilled and further dictated huge changes going on at the time. The necessary alterations to the rules, combined with the huge success of the broadcasting model, set in motion an evolution that has reached a stage where the European club game has now become the main event. The economics involved have brought about the intense concentration of quality, in terms of both players and coaching, within the Champions League, and produced some of the most entertaining football ever seen. This just hasn't been all that valuable for the international game. Instead, it has brought about a situation where the countries can't reach the same level of cohesion as the top clubs, or hire anywhere near the same level of coaches. The response of many inevitable journeyman managers in the international game has been to set sides up with the most easily applicable tactical approaches, and they generally happen to be safety first. It is a long time since the World Cup has been the showcase for football pioneering. The net effect of this is that South Africa 2010 and France 2016 produced probably the most negative football scene since Italia 90. It is mercifully the very last World Cup, however, that stands as a triumphant break in this trend. The 2014 group stage was an oasis of attacking football, as well as something of a throwback in the way it saw individual stars command the stage again in the way James Rodriguez did. This could be the flip side of that tactical fog the international game has become. The way in which the managers and tactics are so much less influential than the club game could open up the space for the individual stars like Neymar and Ronaldo, but especially for those who are such huge figures in less prominent nations: Mohamed Salah, Robert Lewandowski, Rodriguez, Sadio Mane, Christian Eriksen. It could also mean the history of the World Cup is flipped. Because as much as the 2014 group stage broke from recent tournaments, it still followed the natural trend where the knockout stages would naturally become much more constricted, dictated by tension and protection rather than trust in ability and adventure. Mohamed Salah carries the weight of a nation on his shoulders. Getty, one of the other effects of the economic explosion of the club game, however, is that it has meant the biggest countries have effectively industrialized youth production. The strength in depth of the top 6 to 8 national sides is staggering, with so many enhanced by the cohesion their top club sides have brought. This raises the possibility of a number of mouth-watering quarter-finals in Russia. Altogether, the squads of Spain, Germany, France, Brazil, Belgium and to a lesser extent Argentina and England represent the greatest collection of quality the World Cup has ever seen, even if it still doesn't necessarily follow that any of the individual squads are better than Spain 2010, Brazil 1970 or 1958 or West Germany 1974. Why talented World Cup managers are now a dying breed as to who is the best from those top squads this summer, that's even harder to say. It feels like they are separated by slivers of differences, with those slivers representing different rock-paper-scissors qualities. Spain have the deepest midfield quality and greatest tactical variation. France have frightening pace amid their fearsome talent. Germany have the experience as defending champions. Brazil have maybe the most sophisticated coach in tight. Argentina have maybe the greatest player ever in Messi. This World Cup may well definitively define the latter, but itself could be decided by these small differences. It will hopefully be decided in the epic games that we really associate with the competition. Matches akin to France-West Germany 1982, England-Argentina 1986, Brazil-Netherlands 1994, England-Argentina 1998, Germany-Italy 2006. This is what it's really all about. This is what we are hoping for. That's what this invigorating build-up to the World Cup really brings, that childlike hope that we'll be moved with events that are socially monumental for the nations involved. In an interview with The Independent this month, 19